We have been able to capture moisture on the hills by leaving the stubble stand up in a true no-till manner of no shredding, no harrowing, nor anything other than a one-pass system with a no-till drill. Is like snow fences. It gathers moisture and holds it on the hills rather than lets it blow off into the draw. Snow for moisture purposes, and it's fun to watch some of the hills come back to life after seeing them in a conventional method of farming, not being able to produce anything because of lack of moisture. It's really hard to measure the moisture, but what I do see is we have tile lines that have quit running because we're able to hold moisture on the hills rather than let it run to the bottom of the draw and leach out through the ground and leave. We don't have the wet spots we used to have in the draws. We bought a farm 30 years ago. And one of the neighbors came by and he said, boy, that was a bad investment because you couldn't grow anything on the hills. And now we're growing stuff on the hills. And it's so much more residue on tops of the soil. When we started no-till, we got into a residue, how much residue we have on the hills. And within 3 years, we tripled our residue load on our hills just by no-tilling. And all it was is we always put seed to it, we put fertilizer to it, but we never had the capabilities of putting the one key ingredient was water. And after we got into the no-till with the standing stubble, that was the thing that triggered the hills, and they started producing. With the system we're in, we're such a low disturbance, and all the microorganisms and the worms are just taking over, and we don't have too much residue, to the point where we have one combine with a straw chopper, no chaff spreader. We have one combine with a chaff spreader, no straw chopper. And we have one combine with a straw chopper and chaff spreader, and we can't tell the difference of what combine went where by having too much residue on the ground. None of the other machines come close to achieving what we're trying to achieve by not knocking that stubble down. The residue has become a real asset to us, and one of the things that were said by several people when we started this is our residue load is going to get so heavy that we won't be able to handle it after a few years. But the microorganisms and the worms have come in and taken this ground and just brought it all to life. It's 20 years ago, I called it dirt. I call it soil today because of the simple reason it's a living thing. It truly is amazing. The abilities of gathering moisture. We have neighbors that are conventional farming around here, and I'm not begrudging anybody that, however they have to farm. But it's really interesting to watch the soil and water wash out of their fields and wash into ours about 20 feet, and that's the last of the water erosion. We've gathered it. We're gathering water now, and our rotation is probably a tough rotation to maintain if we lose moisture, because we're growing cereal crops back to back. There's several things, actually. Seed placement is very important to us. Able to handle all the residue without disturbing the residue. We're finding out residue is a good tool, not a bad thing to have out there. The runoff we don't have, it's just so many good things we have. The worms are up, the microorganisms are up. It's just a wonderful thing to see, and the cross slot system has brought us to the point where as soon as we would disturb the natural habitat of the worms and the microorganisms, the more we disturb that, the less benefits we get out of it. It's the only drill that will contour the hills at a 40, 45%, 46% slope that maintains equal seed depth throughout the whole width of the drill. It's a lot of drills have a problem. The upper side, the upper half of the drill is seeding shallow, and the lower half seeding deep. The drill itself just maintains that. It's at even depth control all the way through. It actually will hold the tractor up there to the point where if you lift the drill up on the hillside, you're at the 45%. You're liable to go to the bottom with the whole outfit to get to the bottom, and then you have to figure out how to get back up there. So.